Hi, this is Pastor John Yenchko. Sometimes I think to myself, what advice would I have had for myself over 40 years ago when I just started out in ministry? What are some mistakes that I made that I'd want to avoid? And what are some good and helpful tools that I wish I had known? Well, I started this little YouTube channel to reflect on what I would say to myself 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago. And in particular today, I want to think with you about how we explain to people, the disciples of Jesus and the members of our church, how to apply and live out what Peter writes in 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 15 and 16, where he says, "But he who called you is holy. You also be holy in all your conduct, since it is written, 'You shall be holy, for I am holy.'" You know, what Peter's doing is he's quoting from the book of Leviticus, back in the Old Testament. And in Leviticus, where God says several times, "Be holy as I am holy," he's using the Hebrew word kadosh, which we translate as holy, which means at its root to cut off and to set apart for a purpose. And that's what it means to be holy, to be set apart for the purposes of God. How do we help people understand this? In many ways, that's what discipleship is all about. In many ways, that's such a crucial part of our preaching and teaching, isn't it? So, as over the years I have learned how to help people understand that they are set apart in holiness for God, I've often used this little visual aid. It's a bicycle wheel. And what I would do is I would say, this is a good way to understand what it means to be set apart for God. I say, imagine that this bicycle wheel is your life. And how would you describe your life on this wheel? And what some people will do is they'll say, well, this spoke of the wheel of my life is my job. And if you're married, they say, this spoke is my marriage or my aspiration, my desire to be married. And this spoke of the wheel is my parenting. And this spoke of the wheel is my sexuality. And this spoke of the wheel is my money and how I get and what I do with my money. And this spoke of the wheel is my religion. And all of a sudden, Jesus interrupts. And Jesus says, did I just hear you say that religion is a spoke on the wheel of your life? Well, I want to tell you that I will not just be a spoke on the wheel of your life, but I will be the hub of the wheel of your life. And that's a big difference, isn't it? And what we want to see is that when Jesus comes to you, he sets you apart for God's purposes. And he does it by becoming not a spoke on the wheel of your life, but the hub of the wheel of your life. And he says, I will redeem and I will restore and I will heal and sometimes forgive those parts of each spoke where you are out of alignment with how God created you to be. I will help you think about how you make money and keep money and give away money and save money. I'll restore that spoke. I will help you think about your job and your vocation and how you do it for me, for my glory and your blessing. I will help you parent your children in the nurture of the Lord. I will redeem, and perhaps you need healing in your sexuality and you need a reorientation of how you think of yourself as a sexual being. And as you're set apart from me, I will help you to do that. And on it goes in every spoke, in every aspect of your life. And I think this is so important for people because, you know, we don't just want people to have Jesus as their savior, as some sort of just mere hell insurance, But if you have Jesus as Savior, you also have him as Lord of your life. And that means that you are set apart for him. You know, I've seen the light go on for many, many people with this bicycle wheel illustration, that Jesus is not just a spoke on the wheel, but the hub of the wheel. And it works for children. Children can understand this. Teenagers understand this. Even older people understand that they are set apart in all of life for the Lord. And he becomes the center, or on the throne, some people say, or simply the Lord of your life. And this is so helpful, isn't it? Just one more thing. This prop, this illustration is very helpful because what it also teaches is that every spoke on the wheel must be surrendered to Jesus. And I hope this makes sense because, you see, what happens to me, and I'm sure it happens to you because it happens to everybody, is that all of these spokes on the wheel are good things. They are aspects of our life as creatures made in the image of God. But what happens is that any one of these spokes can become ultimate in our life, and then they assume the place of the hub of the wheel of our life. They become the center, the driving force, that which is most valuable. And when it gets threatened or it gets taken away from us, it causes a train wreck in our life. Well, we call that idolatry. It becomes the hub of the wheel, and it becomes a substitute God. And yes, we're happy to move God to a spoke on the wheel, but that is not what he will accept. And so when these things become idols, what do? Well, I remember that the Lord is merciful. I remember the cross. I remember that he has been gracious to me, and he melts my heart. And he once again assumes his rightful place as the hub of the wheel of my life. And all of these are then surrendered to him. And he continues that work in me. Because, my friends, you need to remember always that Christianity is not merely informational. It's not just Jesus giving you the rules or giving you good advice. Christianity is not merely informational. It is transformational. And as the cross brings forgiveness to us, a new relationship with him, and actually as Jesus was cut off from God, now we are set apart for God in our relationship with him. I hope this makes sense to you, and I hope you'll use this bicycle wheel as an illustration of what it means to have Jesus as the hub of the wheel of your life. We want to help people see how he begins this work and then carries it out in our lives. Thank you so much for watching. I hope if this made sense, you'll like this video and even subscribe to these reflections. Thank you so much for watching.